So, an exciting little cheesecake recipe. And the first thing that we're going to start with is the graham cracker crust. So, this recipe is, it's easily double, triple, whatever you need to make it for. But because I don't need an entire cheesecake for 8, as lovely as I'm sure that would be, I'm going to do this as a scant little I'm going to make this as a cheesecake for 2. And you can, as I said, you can easily double this recipe or more. First, you want to get, for 2, I'm going to use a small little 9-inch square Corelle pan. Just a spritz with cooking spray. And did you know, if you spray your dishes with cooking spray over the sink, you're not going to get the mess all over your counter. Instead, whatever spray misses the dish will go into the sink instead. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make graham cracker crust for this. You don't want to use a chocolate cookie crust, which is lovely for most cheesecakes, but in this particular case, chocolate with a limoncello, that can work. So we're going to take 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, just take 1 tablespoon chunks, and melt that over low heat, no rush on it. Just want that to kind of melt down a little bit. And that's over low heat. Then in a food processor, I should probably do this, angle this a little bit different. Here we go, that's better. Take some graham crackers, just plain old graham crackers. Cinnamon probably isn't a great idea. And for to make this for 2, this basic recipe as I'm doing it, use a stack of graham crackers. Put them in the bowl of your food processor, fitted with an S blade. Just break them up a little bit. Process it in quite so much. And break them in plastic wrap that they come in. You save getting crumbs all over the place. Make your life a little bit easier. And take these, pulse them. Just until they're broken up. You know, however long that takes. I could have broken them up into a little bit smaller pieces, but it's cooperating all the same. Now our butter is just about melted, and into your graham crackers, before you add the butter, add about half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of cornstarch. Put that in. And a couple of grates of nutmeg, just to, it's going to not really pronounce the flavor of the nutmeg, but it'll give the graham crackers a little bit more decent of a flavor. So it's not just graham cracker. A little bit of flavor. It goes nicely with the nutmeg. So just a couple of grates of fresh nutmeg, please. Never pre-ground nutmeg. You know, it's just, yeah, no, it doesn't work. It doesn't have the flavor. You grate it fresh, you get all of the flavor, which is precisely what you want. And just give that a spin around once or twice with a pinch of salt. Like all those flavors up, just a little pinch of salt doesn't need much. And it does not need sugar in it because it's got sugar, all the sugar that's in the graham cracker. It's honey in this case. Now you've got your melted butter. And with the food processor running, just drizzle the butter in. This is 2 tablespoons unsalted butter melted. than that because I think I use more than just another tablespoon of butter. Melt that real quick. Because it should be, the graham cracker should be just moist, just a little wet because you're going to put them in and pat them into the crust to make the crust. So let me get that rest of that butter melted. This is just a little bit on the dry side, just a hair too dry. So for a full stack of crackers, you want to use about 4 tablespoons of butter. So it's about, for a half stack of, which will get you enough crust for a 2-serving cheesecake, 2 tablespoons. Put it this way: for every stack of graham crackers, which is how many ounces? I don't know. Let's figure that out. It's 3 stacks. It's about, each one is about 4 ounces. So for every 4 or so ounces of graham crackers, 4 tablespoons of butter. You could use shortening, melted shortening, if you wanted to, but it doesn't. Butter has more flavor, which is nicer. The texture is nicer, and playing in the background, if you can hear it, is this a good sign? It's Papageno's introduction from the Magic Flute, and if anybody knows me, they know that my boy cat of 18 years was named after this character in the Magic Flute, Papageno. So here's another tablespoon of butter going in. Give that a little help. Makes it a little bit better. Push down. Yeah. Oh God, that smells heavy. A little mix there. And then we'll give it one more whiz around with the and that's that. Now just want to take this out and dump this into our prepared dish. Let me angle that down a little bit. Here we go. Spread out the rest of that. And it's gonna be a fairly fine crumb. And this is the only baking part of the whole thing that you're actually going to do. It's just the crust. So you can see this here. And we're just going to take this, whoops, forgive the camera work, I'm doing everything all myself, and take this graham crackers and with the butter and the cornstarch and a little bit of nutmeg, and just pat it down into more or less an even layer, but you're not going to really go up the sides too much. A little bit is okay, but you don't want a lot, because we don't want a crust on the outside. You just want a little bit. Oh, that's actually quite good right there. And make sure that there are no holes in it. Give it a nice pat down. Now the oven is preheated to 400 degrees. Make this as much of a even layer as you can. And now we've gone to just tragic sounding Carmina Burana. Isn't that perfect? What a contrast. And just to make it as even a layer as you can for the crust. Not perfect. Perfect is good, but we're not, I don't think Martha Stewart's going to beat down my apartment door. God, I hope not. Tell me how wrong that is. Okay, now, and that's going to go into a preheated 400-degree oven. Make sure I'm preheated. I am indeed perfectly to 400 degrees. Far from the perfect oven. Middle rack. And let's let that go for about, 8 minutes. So put that timer on there. And let that go for about 8 minutes. In the meantime, back up here. Let's do the blueberry compote. And you can make this is going to make a fairly good amount of it. And you're not going to, of course, use all of it, but you can use it, and it goes beautifully on pancakes, on ice cream, sherbet, all kinds of stuff. It's a lovely, lovely little compote. And I have frozen blueberries, and I have about, I'm going to gander, it's about a cup and a half. I'm gandering. This is not the baking part, so it doesn't have to be exact. But let's see. Do we go all over the floor? Here we go. And can you do this with fresh? Of course you can do this with fresh blueberries. Boom, into the garbage bowl. So there's 1 cup of blueberries. Into a medium saucepan, and the remainder of them. I guesstimated that one correctly. It's a cup and a half of blueberries. So we'll call it a cup and a half, 2 cups, close enough. Into a saucepan. And we're going to do a couple of things with this. First of all, you're going to get a nice white wine. And I'm using a lovely personal favorite, Pinot Grigio. And for a cup of blueberries, let's use, this is a brand new bottle. I thought I had dug into this. It's not. And this is a nice Alveri. It's a Terre degli Osci. And it's a real, actual Italian wine, product of Italy. Lovely. And you know what? I haven't actually tasted this. I deserve a taste. Let's see how it is. It came recommended, got a very nice rating, so let's try it. Oh my. I was going to say, if it's a bit on the sweet side, this is not. It's got a very bright citrus note. If it doesn't have a bright citrus note, zest some lemon into it. Teaspoon or so. But at any rate, let's start here. A cup of wine. Cup of wine to the cup and a half of blueberries. They should just, because they're going to obviously put out quite a bit of juice. So that's a cup of wine to the cup of blueberries, frozen or fresh, doesn't matter. If you're using fresh, make sure that you clean them of any stems. And that will make life lovely. Now, we're going to want this to thicken rather beautifully. So I'm going to take some confectioner's sugar and I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit in over the blueberries. Just going to whisk the sugar in because this is going to help as a thickening agent. So a little bit of the powdered sugar in. Just so you don't get any clumps. Stir it in. You can just add it slowly. You don't have to sift it in. It doesn't particularly matter. Just make sure that you don't get the clumps, which you probably won't because it's going to melt tonight. And this is about a half a cup of icing sugar, as it's called in some parts of the world, confectioner sugar, as it's called in the States. Just make sure that gets dissolved in the wine and the blueberries. Again, just a pinch of salt. Doesn't need much, just a pinch. And this is going to be a somewhat sweet compote, but nothing extravagant. Then cover the blueberries and over medium heat. Let them come to the boil, as it is said, which is lovely. So now I'm going to give my food processor a little rinse here. It doesn't have to be perfectly clean because it's going to. What we're doing next is the actual filling for the cheesecake itself, which is very simple, very, very, very simple. So let's give that just a quick zhuzh. Rinse. Go. Top. Be perfectly clean because it's just going to get dirty again anyway. There's that. And there's my Esplay. And if some graham crackers get in the filling, big deal. It's not going to show. It's not going to mess anything up. So there's that. And let's reassemble. Now, what is in the filling? Very, very easy. And it will get a little loosened up because we're going to refrigerate it for quite a while. It will pull together. And the longer you leave it to refrigerate, the better, the better, the better, the better. So let's put Esplay back in. Lovely. And you can use, you need 8 ounces of cream cheese or Neufchâtel, which is what I'm using, which advertises itself as a third less fat than regular cream cheese, which it is. And the magic fruitings, queen of the night on now. And 8 ounces, it can be Neufchâtel or it can be cream cheese. Either or. Neufchâtel is, like I said, lighter, and it's sweeter as well. So, get this out of the package. There we go. And you know, even if it doesn't, if you use Neufchâtel and it's got a third less fat, you'll feel less guilty. That's all. So that goes into the bowl of the food processor. Helper here. All that in. There we go. A little bit. Okay, lovely, lovely. Oops, there we go. Okay, there's our timer for the crust. Let's see, it should just be ever so lightly browned, like so. You just want it a little bit crisp. And here's what it looks like when it's done. It's just slightly golden brown. That's all. Just want it a little bit crispy, and then you put the filling in. So we're going to take that and joys of live TV. You're going to let this cool a bit, and you can help the process along. By putting it in the fridge while we do the rest of this. Just let that cool. You just don't want it hot when you put the filling in it, because the filling is just going to run and it won't be attractive. So we'll let that cool for while we make the compote and now the filling. And I just realized there's another blueberry I missed. Washing the floor tomorrow. Here's that. Okay, so now we've got our Neufchâtel or cream cheese in the bowl of the food processor with the Esplay. Then take either a plain yogurt, or this is which generally, and put that in along with your cream cheese. And if you're using a plain, you could use a lemon if you wanted to. Lemon yogurt, that'd be fine. And if you're just going to use a plain, put in about a teaspoon of vanilla in with it. So you get that, you get the vanilla flavor, not the yogurt flavor, as it were. So, all right, so there's that. Now, the really important part of it is limoncello. And this is one of the most traditional limoncellos in Italy. Limoncello is a lemon liqueur. And this is the Carnivella, which is a well-known one. And I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons in. It's very lemony. It's not terribly sweet. It's very lemony. It's beautiful yellow. That is the yellow. That is the color of the limoncello itself. That's not an added color. And we're going to whir this together until very, very smooth. And, oh, one ingredient I just about forgot. Put about a half a cup. Actually, let's make it a third of a cup to start. We can always add more if we need it later. This is a third of a cup, again, of confectioner's or icing sugar. Put that in with it. And pour that all together. Not going to take very long. Put that all together. This will be very, very smooth. Very important that your Neuchâtel or your cream cheese is at room temperature. It's going to be very creamy filling. Let me get it done. So, take a little taste test on that. Literally perfect. Literally perfect. I'm going to go a little bit further because I didn't use the lemon zest in the blueberry compote. That's perfect. That's nice. And I'm going to use the lemon zest in the filling. Why not? A little lemon zest in the filling. You can play around with this. This is not, like I said, it's not. This isn't baking per se, so it's not horribly important. The amounts, you just taste it, and when it looks right and tastes right and smells right, it's right. But as long as you follow the basics, you're not going to get lost. So I'm going to just grate about maybe, this is probably about a half a teaspoon of lemon zest. And when you're doing lemon zest, you just want the yellow part. You don't want any of the white tip because that's bitter. You don't want that. The lemon zest, just the outer part of the lemon is where the oils are, which is the part that is lemony but not bitter, and that's what you want. So got that in, and let's get the mix. Beautiful. Oh my, that smells delightful. Delightful. Quick little test here. Show what that looks like. And there that is. Isn't that beautiful? Pretty. You can put yellow food coloring in if you want it to just be really obviously lemon yellow. I don't think that's necessary. I think this is pretty. So just a little flecks of lemon zest in there, pretty too. And the flavor is divine, absolutely divine. So there's that. All right, so I keep my limoncello in the freezer because it's wonderful on a hot summer day with some soda or tonic water. You don't really need anything sweet, but if you want to do diet 7-Up or something that's not terribly sugary, this straight from the freezer with a little bit of that on some ice, tall glass, is one of the most refreshing summer beverages you'll ever come across. All right, so now our blueberries are bubbling away merrily over here. So trusty wooden spoon and give them a check as they are bubbling away. Okay, oh, that sounds wonderful. And you want to keep them bubbling until these blueberries burst. It's not unlike making cranberry sauce at the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, etc. It's the same. It's basically the same theory. So we want to keep those bubbling away. Hair lows, just a hair. And I'm going to let those bubble away and let the crust be filled. If you have a springform pan, that's great. I don't happen to have any at the moment because I just haven't found any that I like at a price that I like. If you've got a springform, that's great, especially if you're going to do a bake. If you no bake, it's not so important. And this will, you'll see, this will work out just fine. So let's take a little coffee break. Now, once you have got your blueberries come up to a good rolling simmer, low boil, uncover them. As you can see, I have done over there. They are uncovered, and just let them bubble away for a while, because we want them to reduce very nicely, and give them, you know, a little flavor check, just a little taste check to see if it might need some sugar, it might not. Of course, the flavors are going to intensify and sweeten as they boil down. That's on the right track. I don't know if that's going to need much of anything, but we shall keep an eye on it. But you've got to remember that because the filling for the cheesecake is very, it's going to be on the sweet side anyway, so you don't want the compote too sweet. I think I got a good balance going on there, but we shall see. Check back in a minute, right? Now, our blueberries have reduced by a quarter, wine and the blueberries. And it's tart, but it's sweet. Like I said, it will sweeten. So you don't want to sweeten it until after it's cool. Check and make sure that it's still sweet enough. But, and this is, as you can see, this is, it's still steaming hot, and it's going to thicken as it cools. So this is going to go uncovered into the fridge for a while to cool down, because it has to be cool when it goes over the cheesecake, which will be well chilled. So, yum. So that cool for a bit. And let us go on to another little thing you don't have to do, but it's a nice option. And these are lemons that have been sliced and simmered in a little bit of syrup. And I'm now doing them over in a sprayed skillet over very, very low heat. And we're just going to cook them a little bit more until they caramelize, become candied, and then make a nice little garnish on the serving plate with the cheesecake. So let's let those go for a minute. And I'm going to check and see how the crust is doing. We cooked already, we baked that off a bit. And it's nicely cooled. As you can see, I'm not screaming in pain because it's too hot. So there it is. The crust again, golden brown, beautiful, so simple. So simple and so tasty. So that's ready to go. And we've got our filling that we prepared earlier. And we're going to just scoop this into la traviata, vediamo. the brindisi, the drinking song, as it were, from Traviata. Appropriate, right? This has got all kinds of wine and liqueur in it. It couldn't be more perfect. Let's get most of that out and take this middle thing. Take the blade out. It may not want to, right? I'm not going to flirt with danger there. Scrape as much as I can down out of this. A parishioner of mine once had a very nasty accident with an S blade from a food processor. Really major bandaging on his finger. So I'm just going to scrape as much as I can get out of this. And when I can get that blade out of there, I guess I'm just going to be forced to have to, not like licking the beaters when I was making icing for a cake. And reposition here. So you can see what's going on. And there's this. Let's see if we can actually have a little better angle. Oh, that's better. And if you've got an offset spatula, that's great. I don't know where I moved mine when I rearranged my kitchen, so I'm just going to ever so gently silicone spatula evenly distribute this around to the edges of the crust. And this is a very thin cheesecake, so it will chill fairly quickly. And just do this from the center out. So don't pull up any crumbs. Right to the very edges. Just make it as even as you can. Always from the center out to the sides, because it will move back towards the center, which is okay. That's fine. Once you've done that, smooth over. And you know what I suppose you could do if you really want. Oh, look at this, it's left over. Oh. Just radically good. Okay, you adjust my camera here, sorry. As I said, I'm doing everything here. It's a one-man show. You could grate more lemon zest on top of that if you wanted to. If you have colored sugar, yellow colored sugar, whatever. I think it's just perfect as it is. I don't want to ruin it. If you had leftover graham cracker crumbs, you could crumble that on top. That's always lovely too. Which I could do. I'm being creative. I'm thinking on my feet as we tape this. But let's pay attention to the candied lemon slices here. And let them just as they begin to caramelize on one side. That'll bring these over to the camera and show you in a minute. These are just love. And the idea is you just want them to get crystallized a little bit. That's all. I think what I may do is 2, 3, 4, 7. I might decorate the top with those, or I might just when I do individual plating. I'll do wait until individual plating with that. So that's in progress now. We've got our cheesecake in our cake on our crust and evened it out, jiggle it a little bit. And very important, and let that chill for at least an hour and a half. 2 hours overnight is great if you have the time to do that. If you don't have the time to do that, you don't have to wait for overnight. And once your lemons are done candying and caramelizing in your skillet, pull them off and put them on a little rack inside a baking pan, because you're going to want them to finish hardening up. And they can be chilled or they can be left at room temperature. There's no reason they can't be left at room temperature. So let's just get to that next part of the process and we'll finish it up.